Hey everyone, it's Karynjean, and we are going to go through the scrap bucket and see what we're going to do with all this stuff. I am sitting down because my back has been spasming. I'm trying to get the camera down as close as possible so we can see. And let's go. This here is, I don't know, it's a pillowcase. I think it was my mother's or something. It's just a scrap of fabric. That I'm going to use for something. This was my mother's old bathrobe that I mended, and finally this year I cut it up and made pillows for my daughter and grandson out of that. The dog is right here, keeping us company, of course. All right, this is a quilt top that I made years and years ago. I was just out of tiny quilt squares, right? They're probably 2-inch squares or 1.5-inch squares anyway. And this is, I believe, a twin size. So that's a quilt top. This is a quilt, a lap quilt I made for my brother years and years ago. And as you can see, I'm not quite sure if it's well loved or not. This fabric here is the one that's pulled away. And I forget what this is called. It's cotton. It's a cotton weave fabric. And that's what happens to it. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to mend that. And this is one of the Winnie the Pooh quilts that I made. I just need to finish sewing the binding on here. I've been doing it by hand and it hurts my hands. So I don't think I got very far. I need to do that. That's just a whip stitch I do. Okay, so here is the bucket. And I think probably what I'm going to do, what I've decided to do with a lot of these pieces is cut them up into fat quarters and then I could just use them for journal covers with some extra. But we have a lot of these tiny scraps from, when I was making the Winnie the Pooh quilts. This is white, a piece of white flannel that I actually just might cut that up into washcloths for myself, quite honestly. Yeah, so here's, and of course I don't have, I guess what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through here and pull out that which I can turn into fat quarters and journal covers, and that might get us down a bit. This is scraps of warm and natural batting. It's 100% cotton batting, and this is what I use in all my quilts. So that's just excess. This is a rather large piece of minky, but I'm going to cut that down. That can make a couple of really nice journal covers. Cut that down into fat quarters. Fat quarters are when you take a yard of fabric, which is 36 inches wide, and fabric is usually 45 inches, 36 inches long, excuse me, by 45 inches wide. And so you take the 36 by 45 and you cut it into 4 squares. So they become 18 by 22, and that's what's called a fat quarter of a yard. But not a long strip, but yeah, that way. This is just a, I think for pillows, right? Yeah, it's to make pillows. I used to, years and years ago when my daughter was like 5 years old, I worked at Joann's Fabrics for a few years. So a lot of my fabric is from years and years ago. All right, I love this green fabric. All right, I'm just pulling stuff out. This is not gonna get me, that's a smaller scrap, so this is also a smaller scrap. All right, I'm just gonna pull out these scraps. They're too small for fat quarters. That's lining fabric. Let's see what we got. Yeah, maybe I get some fat quarters out of that. quilted fabric. That's not, I'm not going to get anything out of that. My Eagles fabric. 4th of July fabric. Might be able to get something out of that. And so when I was working at Joann's, and that's when fabric used to be like on sale, 88 cents a yard when they get the really cheap fabric. I would buy like 5 yards or the whole bolt of it because 88 cents a yard, and then you still had your employee discount on top of it. So, all right, I'm pulling out all these. This one already has the iron-on adhesive on it. So let's just pull all these out that I can turn into a fat quarters. Eagles! I'm going to leave that in there. I don't think I could sell something if I want to sell it. If it's licensed like that, I'm not sure what the laws and the rules are. So, okay, we'll toss that out. These here, like fabrics like this, you can't get these fabrics anymore. You just can't get them. They're beautiful. This is a big piece. I made a jumper for myself out of this. Let's see what's there. No, that's not going to get me a fat quarter. That's not going to get me a fat quarter. Oh, let's see what we got. Let's dig down, folks. Let's dig down. This fabric I bought to cover spines with. Well, here's a big piece of denim-like fabric. Not going to get me a fat quarter, but, well, we'll take a look, maybe. That's pretty. Just a little piece of fabric left there. This is too narrow. My lemon fabric, it's also too narrow. I know I have more of this fabric. I did a journal with this. This is very pretty fabric. Would make a lovely dress. All right, let's just toss that aside. We'll pull that out. That I'll leave in here. This here fabric I bought to make a child's quilt with. Just pull that over there. I'm just doing it. Oh, here's also heavier fabric that I bought to cover spines with. Oh, here we go. Pretty blue fabric that I might not cut into. See, more of that. Different colors. That's a remnant. My moo fabric. Oh gosh. Can't get this anymore. I used to decorate my kitchen in like cows and farmyard animals, and that's what I bought that fabric for. That. Some of these might just like this. This is just probably going to go right back on the shelf with all my fabric. It's a big piece there. Okay, what do we have? I don't know. This I'm not going to cut into fat quarters. I bought this to make a flamingo quilt for a friend of mine, so I'm actually, cutting out the flamingos. It's already a fat quarter. Let's see. Yeah. Pulling out the bigger scraps. Here we go. I'm going to have to turn the iron on. Black. I use that in my brother's quilt, I know. Oh gosh. This one is discolored. I don't know how that happened. Also don't know what I used it for. Maybe making doll clothes for my daughter when she was younger with the American Girl dolls. So, let's see my clouds. Polished cotton. I made a jumper. I used to make lots of jumpers for my daughter when she was younger. And this is really pretty fabric. So some of this stuff is left over from that. Sorry if my head's in the way. Shouldn't be, though. Pretty fabric. I'm not going to cut into this either, just white. It's white on white. I have different white on white, you know, different like patterns and stuff. This is a nice, this is a heavier cotton. These are squares. Let's see what else we got over here. I'm not going to cut into that either because that's the last bit of that I have. Oh. Let's see what we got. This here is a bag of extra quilt squares. I made my mother a quilt. Different quilting projects. Excess fabric from quilting projects. It's pretty. I know I can't get that fabric anymore either. Some of these are already cut into 6x6 squares. Let's see what we got. This is not white, but cream color. Ooh. Scrap of music. Music-like fabric. I don't think I have anything bigger in here. Ginghams. I'm not going to cut into them either. Well, I think I got about half of it out. This is pretty, huh? That's very pretty. Pink. My purple. I love my purple. More purples. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna maybe one day just cut these into excess squares from when I was doing the Winnie the Pooh quilts. Just cut them into squares and just do a scrappy quilt, right? Why not? Okay, so I think I have a huge pile over here. Let me put this stuff back in here. So, oh, good. That's the flannel. Leave that out. And put that in. Okay. So next I'm just going to take out the ironing board, cut all those guys down, and start ironing. Maybe that'll be a silent video. All right. Let me put this back to rights and get going on phase 2.